The flames danced across the skyline of New York as Admiral Vextar watched from his command ship high above Earth. His 6 eyes studied the burning human cities through the viewing portal. Smoke rose from London, Tokyo, and Moscow. The primitive species had finally learned their place. "Admiral, the humans are requesting to speak with you," said his communications officer. The young Zephyrian's scales shimmered blue with excitement. This was his first conquest. Vextar's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Put them through. Let me hear their final words." The main screen flickered to life. President Chun appeared, his face dirty and tired. Behind him, sparks flew from damaged equipment in what looked like an underground bunker. The human leader's eyes were red from smoke or tears. "Admiral Vextar," President Chen said, his voice steady despite everything. "Earth surrenders. We cannot fight your empire any longer." Vextar felt satisfaction wash through his 4-chambered heart. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered another world. This made it 10,000 star systems under their control. But this victory felt special. Humans had been stubborn. They had fought for 3 long months. "Your surrender is accepted," Vextar replied. His voice echoed through the ship's bridge. "Your species will serve the Empire now. Your ships will be destroyed. Your soldiers will work in our factories. Your children will learn proper civilization." President Chun nodded slowly. "What about our people? Will you treat them fairly?" "They will be treated as all client species are treated," Vextar said. "They will work. They will obey. They will serve the greater glory of the Empire." The human leader closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, something had changed. But Vextar could not tell what. "I understand," President Chun said. "We accept these terms." The communication ended. Around the bridge, Zephyrian officers celebrated. This had been easier than expected. Most species fought for years. Some fought for decades. The stubborn Corithians had fought for almost a century before accepting defeat. But humans? 3 months. Their technology was so primitive. Their ships used kinetic weapons, actual metal projectiles fired at targets. The Zephyrians had plasma cannons that could melt through any human armor. Their shields could stop any human weapon. "Sir," reported the tactical officer, "all human military bases have stopped fighting. Their remaining ships are powering down weapons. The conquest is complete." Vextar felt proud. Emperor Zixthel would be pleased. Another species had joined the Empire. Another world would provide resources and workers. "Begin landing operations," he ordered. "I want governors in every major human city within 1 week. Start with their capital cities. Down on Earth's surface, the last human soldiers put down their weapons." General Rodriguez watched his men lay their rifles on the ground. His heart was heavy, but his face remained calm. "Sir, what do we do now?" asked his aide, Lieutenant Park. Rodriguez looked at the young officer. "Now we wait. And we remember." "Remember what, sir?" "Remember that surrender is not the end of the story," Rodriguez said quietly. "It's just the beginning of a different story." Above them, Zephyrian dropships began their descent. The aliens had won this battle. They had won this war. But they did not understand humans very well. In the bunker beneath New Geneva, President Chun walked through the corridors. His advisors and cabinet members worked at their stations. Despite the surrender, everyone remained busy. "Mr. President," said his chief of staff, Maria Santos, "the Zephyrians want a complete list of all our military assets. They want locations of every base, every ship, every weapon." Chun nodded. "Give them what they ask for. Give them everything they want to know about." Santos looked confused. "Sir, give them everything they want to know about," Chun repeated. "But only what they ask about." Santos still looked confused, but she nodded. She had worked with President Chun for 10 years. She knew he had reasons for everything he said in orbit around Earth. Admiral Vextar reviewed the reports. The human surrender had been complete. They had provided detailed information about their military. Their fleet consisted of 12,000 ships, all now destroyed or captured. Their army had 50 million soldiers, all now disarmed. Their technology is even more primitive than we thought, said his science officer. Look at these ship designs. They still use chemical rockets for propulsion. Their weapons are barely advanced beyond throwing rocks. Vextar studied the data. Humans had been spacefaring for only 300 years. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled space for 5,000 years. No wonder the conquest had been so easy. What about their colonies? He asked. 47 colony worlds, reported the intelligence officer. All small. Most have less than 1 million humans. Total human population across all worlds is about 25 billion. Very small compared to our empire. Vextar nodded. Humans were insignificant. The empire controlled over 800 species. Some species had populations in the trillions. Humans would be just another small client species. Sir, said the communications officer, Emperor Zixthil wants to speak with you. The main screen showed the Emperor's throne room. Emperor Zixthil sat on his crystal throne, his massive form impressive even through the transmission. His scales were deep purple, showing his ancient age and wisdom. Admiral Vextar, the Emperor said. Report on the human conquest. Complete victory, Your Majesty, Vextar replied. Humans have surrendered unconditionally. Their military is destroyed. Their leadership is compliant. The species is ready for integration into the Empire. Excellent. How long did they resist? 3 months, Your Majesty. Shorter than any previous conquest. Emperor Zixthil's eyes glowed with satisfaction. Perfect. The galaxy will know that resistance is useless. Even the stubborn humans have learned their place. The transmission ended. Around the bridge, officers continued their work. The conquest was over. The cleanup would begin. But on Earth's surface, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, humans continued their own work. Work that had nothing to do with surrender. Work that had been planned for decades, in a basement in London. Dr. Sarah Martinez typed a simple message into her computer. The students are ready for school. The message was sent through channels the Zephyrians did not know existed. It reached destinations the Zephyrians had never heard of. It started processes the Zephyrians could never imagine. The conquest of Earth was complete. But the real war was just beginning. Governor Dexul stood on the balcony of what used to be the United Nations building. 6 months had passed since the conquest of Earth. The human city of New York stretched out below him. Everything looked normal. Too normal. The humans worked in the factories. They built Zephyrian technology. They attended the education centers where they learned about empire culture. They followed orders. They caused no trouble. This worried Dexul. Report, he said to his aide, Commander Rixall. All production quotas are being met, Governor. In fact, humans are producing 15% more than required. Their work quality is excellent. Better than most species. Dexul's scales shifted to orange, a sign of confusion among Zephyrians. Any resistance activities? None, Governor. Our surveillance detects no rebel groups. No weapons caches. No underground meetings. The humans appear completely compliant. This made no sense to Dexul. Every species resisted at first. The Corinthians had fought guerrilla wars for 50 years after surrender. The Veltaki had sabotaged factories and assassinated governors. Even the peaceful Melodians had organized protests and work strikes. But humans? Nothing. What about their communications? Dexul asked. Normal civilian traffic. They talk about work, family, entertainment. Our translation systems monitor everything. Everything? Commander Rixall hesitated. Well, there are some encrypted communications, but they appear to be commercial data. Banking information, business contracts, personal messages they want to keep private. Can we decode these messages? Our best cryptographers have tried. The encryption is more advanced than expected from such a primitive species. But it's probably just human commercial protocols. Nexul walked back into his office. The room used to belong to the human Secretary General. Pictures of human children still hung on the walls. Dexul had left them there as a reminder of who was now in charge. On his desk sat reports from across the human territories. Every human colony was behaving the same way. Perfect compliance. Excellent work. No resistance. Get me Admiral Vextar, he ordered. The communication screen activated. Admiral Vextar appeared from his flagship orbiting Earth. Governor Vexul. How progresses the integration? Too well, Admiral. The humans are too cooperative. Vextar's mandibles clicked in what humans would call laughter. You complain that our subjects obey orders? No species accepts conquest this easily. Something is wrong. Perhaps humans are simply more intelligent than other species. They see the futility of resistance. Vexul was not convinced. He had governed 12 different species during his career. He knew the patterns. First came shock, then anger, then attempts at resistance, then despair, finally acceptance. Humans seem to have skipped straight to acceptance. No, not acceptance. Something else. Admiral, have you investigated the human colonies outside Earth? Of course. All 47 colonies have surrendered. They follow the same integration protocols as Earth. All of them? Every single one. After the call ended, Dexul sat in his chair and thought. 47 colonies. All surrendering immediately after Earth's defeat. All following orders perfectly. All producing at maximum efficiency. His door chimed. Enter, he called. A human woman walked in. She was Dr. Helen Carter, his human liaison. She was supposed to help him understand human culture and manage the integration process. Governor Vexul, she said with a polite smile. I have the daily reports from the education centers. She placed a datapad on his desk. Vexul noticed that she moved with calm confidence. Not the broken spirit he expected from a conquered people. Dr. Carter, may I ask you something? Of course, Governor. Your people accept our rule very easily. This surprises me. Dr. Carter's smile never wavered. Humans are practical, Governor. We see that resistance would be pointless. The Empire is too powerful. But your species fought us for 3 months. You must have some feelings about the conquest. We do. But we also understand reality. The Empire conquered us. Fighting that fact would only bring more suffering. Vexul studied her face. Humans were difficult to read, but he had learned some of their expressions. Dr. Carter showed no signs of the emotions he expected. Anger, fear, resentment. Instead, she seemed almost patient. Is there anything else, Governor? She asked. No, you may go. After she left, Vexul called up his intelligence files. He read reports from surveillance teams across Earth. Every report said the same thing. Humans were model citizens of the Empire, but something nagged at him. He pulled up communication intercepts. Thousands of messages between humans every day. Most were decoded and translated. They talked about ordinary things, but some messages remained encrypted. His staff said it was normal commercial traffic. But what if it wasn't? Vexul called his chief intelligence officer. Commander Zarkith, I want every encrypted human communication decoded. Sir, we have tried. The encryption is quite advanced. Try harder. Use our best code-breaking computers. I want to know what humans are hiding. Yes, Governor. That evening, Vexul walked through the streets of New York. Human civilians moved about their business. They nodded politely to his guards. Children played in parks. Couples held hands. Everything looked normal. But Dexul felt like he was missing something important. He stopped at a small cafe. The human owner, an elderly man, served him a drink that humans called coffee. Is business good? Dexul asked. Yes, Governor. Very good. People need their coffee. You seem happy for someone whose world was conquered. The old man shrugged. Life goes on. We adapt. We survive. Do you not miss your independence? Independence? The old man seemed to think about this. I suppose. But we still make our own choices about small things. What to eat. Who to love. What to dream about. Dexul found this answer strange. Most conquered species mourned their lost freedom constantly. Do you dream of rebellion? He asked. The old man smiled. I'm too old for fighting. I dream of my grandchildren having good lives. As Dexul walked back to his headquarters, he thought about that conversation. The old man had seemed genuinely content. But there had been something in his eyes when he mentioned grandchildren. Hope. Why would a conquered people still have hope? Back in his office, Dexul received a message from Commander Zarkith. Governor, we have made some progress on the encrypted communications. What have you found? The messages appear to be simple text, but we suspect they contain hidden meanings. Code words. References to things we don't understand. Such as, many messages mention the garden. We cannot find any actual garden. And they frequently reference planting season and harvest time. Dexul felt his scales shift to red, the color of alarm. Agricultural references? Yes, but Earth's food production is fully documented. There are no secret farms. Unless they're not talking about crops. Dexul stared out his window at the human city below. 47 million humans on Earth. Another 25 billion on the colonies. All perfectly obedient. All waiting for something. Double the surveillance, he ordered. And get me a direct line to Emperor Zixthul. I think we need to move to the next phase of integration faster than planned. Something was growing in the shadows. And Dexul feared that when it bloomed, the Empire would not like what it saw. The crystal throne chamber of Zephyros Prime was the largest room Dr. Sarah Martinez had ever seen. It could hold 10,000 beings, and today it was full. Representatives from 847 different species filled the galleries. All had come to witness the final integration of humanity into the Zephyrian Empire. Dr. Martinez stood alone on the ceremonial platform. At 73 years old, she looked small and fragile, surrounded by the massive architecture. Her gray hair was neatly arranged. Her simple black dress seemed plain compared to the colorful robes and exotic forms around her. Above her, Emperor Zixthul sat on his crystal throne. The emperor was enormous, even for a Zephyrian. His scales were deep purple with silver edges that showed his great age. His 6 eyes studied the elderly human woman below. Dr. Sarah Martinez. The emperor's voice boomed through the chamber. You represent the species known as humanity. I do, Your Majesty, she replied. Her voice was calm and clear. For 1 year, your species has served the Empire. Your compliance has been noted. Your productivity exceeds expectations. It is time for the final step. The emperor gestured to a floating platform beside Dr. Martinez. On it sat a golden tablet covered in symbols from hundreds of languages. This was the Integration Treaty, the document that would make humanity permanent slaves of the Empire. This treaty will dissolve all human governments, the emperor continued. Your military traditions will end forever. Your people will accept their place as workers in the Empire. Your colonies will become imperial provinces. Your independence ends today. Dr. Martinez looked at the treaty. She had read it many times already. It was detailed and complete. Once signed, humanity would have no legal way to ever claim freedom again. The ceremony is being broadcast to every world in the Empire, Emperor Zixtel said. 800 billion beings watch today. They will see that resistance to the Empire is useless. They will see that even stubborn humanity has accepted the inevitable. In the galleries, alien representatives whispered among themselves. Many had fought the Empire before surrendering. Some had resisted for decades. All had eventually signed similar treaties. Dr. Martinez walked slowly to the golden tablet. A ceremonial stylus waited beside it. All she had to do was make her mark. Human independence would end, but human lives would continue. She picked up the stylus. Dr. Martinez, the Emperor said, do you sign this treaty of your own free will on behalf of all humanity? Dr. Martinez looked up at the massive alien ruler. Your Majesty, I am afraid I cannot sign this treaty. The whispers in the gallery stopped. The chamber became silent. You refuse? The Emperor's voice carried dangerous tones. No, Your Majesty. I do not refuse. I simply cannot sign because you have forgotten something important. Emperor Zixtel leaned forward on his throne. His eyes blazed with anger. Explain yourself, human. Dr. Martinez set down the stylus. She folded her hands and looked directly at the Emperor. Around the chamber, security guards moved closer. But she showed no fear. You have forgotten Rule 1, she said clearly. The Emperor stared at her. What rule? What are you talking about? Rule 1 of the Terran Mutual Defense Compact, Dr. Martinez explained. Perhaps your intelligence services did not inform you about it. I know of no such compact, the Emperor said. Dr. Martinez smiled sadly. That is the problem, Your Majesty. You should know about it. It has existed for 300 years. In the communications center of the throne chamber, technicians looked at each other with confusion. They had studied every human treaty and agreement. There was no record of any Terran Mutual Defense Compact. You are stalling, the Emperor said. There is no such agreement in our files. Of course not, Dr. Martinez replied. You only studied agreements between humans. You never bothered to learn about our agreements with others. The Emperor's scales shifted to dark red, the color of suspicion and growing anger. What others? The Kephani Hive Mind, the Stellar Republic of Vega, the Free Colonies of Tau Ceti, the Independent Worlds Alliance, 237 different governments, representing species you dismissed as irrelevant. The chamber remained silent. Many beings in the galleries had never heard these names. Impossible, the Emperor said. We know every significant power in the galaxy. No, Your Majesty. You know every power that threatened you. You ignored everyone else. You assumed that small governments and minor species could never challenge your empire. Dr. Martinez began walking slowly around the platform as she spoke. For 3 centuries, while you conquered through fear and violence, humans chose a different path. We made friends. We established trade relationships. We helped smaller species defend themselves against pirates and raiders. Meaningless, the Emperor said. A few minor species cannot threaten the Empire. You're right, Dr. Martinez agreed. A few minor species could not threaten you. But we didn't make alliances with a few species. We made alliances with all the species you ignored. The Emperor's chief intelligence advisor whispered urgently in his ear. The advisor's face showed confusion and growing alarm. The Terran Mutual Defense Compact, Dr. Martinez continued, was signed 237 years ago. Rule 1 is very simple. An attack on any member is considered an attack on all members. Even if such a compact exists, the Emperor said, it cannot include significant military forces. You're wrong about that too, Dr. Martinez said. You see, you made a crucial mistake. You counted human colonies and human ships, but you never counted our allies' colonies and ships. She gestured toward the great viewing screen that dominated one wall of the chamber. Perhaps you should check your outer sensor arrays. The Emperor nodded to his communications officer. The viewing screen activated, showing the space around Zephyros Prime. For a moment, it looked empty except for the regular traffic of Imperial ships. Then the sensor range expanded. Dots of light began appearing at the edge of the screen. Dozens of dots. Then hundreds. Then thousands. Those are warships, Dr. Martinez explained calmly. From 237 different governments. 40,000 human colonies you never knew existed. 200 allied species with their own fleets. They've been moving into position around every major imperial world for the past 6 months. The Emperor stared at the screen. His intelligence officer was speaking rapidly into his communicator, trying to contact other imperial worlds. "This is impossible," the Emperor said. "Our sensors would have detected such a massive movement." "Your sensors did detect it," Dr. Martinez replied. "But you dismissed it as normal civilian traffic. Merchant ships, trading vessels, exploration craft. You never imagined that a merchant convoy might actually be a disguised battle fleet." The communications officer looked up at the Emperor with panic in his eyes. "Your Majesty, we are receiving similar reports from Tyrax Prime, Corvus System, Nexus 7, and 43 other core worlds. Unknown fleets have appeared in all our major systems." Dr. Martinez looked directly at Emperor Zixthal. The occupation of Earth triggered Article 7 of the Compact. Total war footing. Every human world. Every allied species. We have been preparing for this moment for a full year. "You planned this," the Emperor said, his voice filled with rage. "Of course we planned this. Humans are good at planning, but we could not have done it alone. We needed friends. We needed allies. We needed species who believed in cooperation instead of conquest." The Emperor's massive form rose from his throne. "You dare threaten the Empire." Dr. Martinez remained calm. "I'm not threatening anyone, Your Majesty. I'm simply explaining why I cannot sign your treaty. According to Rule 1, humanity is currently under the protection of the largest military alliance in galactic history." Warning alarms began sounding throughout the chamber. The communications officer was receiving reports from across the Empire. Unknown fleets everywhere. All broadcasting the same message. Release human prisoners and withdraw from human space. Dr. Martinez looked up at the Emperor one last time. "You can choose to negotiate, Your Majesty. Or you can choose to discover what happens when you attack someone who has friends." The Crystal Throne Chamber had never been so quiet. 800 billion beings across the galaxy watched and waited to see what the mighty Emperor would do. Outside, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Emperor Zixthal's rage filled the crystal chamber like a storm. His massive claws gripped the arms of his throne so tightly that cracks appeared in the crystal. "Explain," he demanded. "Explain how a primitive species could deceive the greatest empire in galactic history." Dr. Martinez remained calm on the platform below. Around them, the alarm systems continued their urgent warnings. Reports flowed in from across the Empire, unknown fleets at every major world. "It began 300 years ago," she said, "when humans first left Earth and met other species in space." The viewing screen changed to show star maps. Red dots marked Zephyrian territory. Blue dots showed human colonies. But there were many other colors scattered throughout the galaxy. Green, yellow, orange, purple. "Your empire grew through conquest," Dr. Martinez continued. "You found strong species and fought them. You found weak species and enslaved them. But there was a third group you ignored completely." "What group?" The Emperor snarled. "Independent species. Small governments. Free colonies. Worlds that were not worth conquering because they had no great armies or vast resources. You dismissed them as irrelevant. The star map zoomed in to show clusters of small colonies between the major empires. Hundreds of tiny governments scattered throughout space. Humans met these species differently, Dr. Martinez explained. We didn't try to conquer them. We didn't ignore them. We talked to them. We traded with them. We became friends. Friendship is worthless, the Emperor said. Only power matters. You're wrong, Dr. Martinez replied. Friendship became power. The greatest power in the galaxy. She gestured to the screen. The small independent colonies began connecting with lines, trade routes, communication networks, mutual defense agreements. The Kethany hive mind were just insect farmers when we met them. They had 12 worlds and no weapons. Pirates raided them constantly. So we helped them build defenses. We shared our technology. We became their friends. More lines appeared on the map, connecting human space to a cluster of Kethany worlds. The Vegan Republic had advanced computers, but no ships. Raiders stole their technology and sold their people as slaves. So we built ships for them. We patrolled their space. We became their friends. More connections formed. The network grew larger. The free colonies of Tau Ceti were miners and traders. They had resources but no protection. So we provided security in exchange for materials. We became their friends. The Emperor watched the map with growing alarm. The network of connections was enormous. It spread throughout the galaxy like a spider's web. Each species we helped became our ally, Dr. Martinez continued. Each ally introduced us to their neighbors. Each neighbor had their own problems we could help solve. The network grew. This proves nothing, the Emperor said, but his voice was less certain now. A trading network is not a military threat. You're right again, Dr. Martinez agreed. A trading network is not threatening. That's why you ignored it for 3 centuries. The star map changed again. Now it showed ship movements over the past year. Thousands of vessels moving along the trade routes, all heading toward Imperial space. Those merchant ships that entered your territory over the past year, Dr. Martinez said. The trading vessels, the exploration craft, the civilian transports. They weren't really civilian. The Emperor's eyes widened as understanding dawned. Every species in our network contributed, Dr. Martinez explained. The Kethany provided their hive ship technology, vessels that look like giant insects but carry thousands of fighters. The vegans contributed their computer systems, artificial intelligence that can coordinate million-ship battle fleets. The Tau Cetians provided rare metals for hull armor stronger than anything in your navy. The communications officer looked up from his console with terror in his eyes. Your Majesty, our intelligence division has completed their analysis. The ship count is... He swallowed hard. The combined fleet surrounding our core worlds numbers over 2.8 million vessels. Silence fell over the chamber. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered the galaxy with a fleet of 800,000 ships. Impossible, the Emperor whispered. Very possible, Dr. Martinez said. You see, Your Majesty, you made one critical error. You thought in terms of empires and conquest. We thought in terms of cooperation and friendship. She walked closer to the throne. When you attacked Earth, you weren't just attacking one world with 12,000 ships. You were attacking a network of 40,000 human worlds and 237 allied species. You were attacking everyone who believed in freedom. The Emperor stared at the battle reports flowing across his screens. Every major imperial world was surrounded. But these weren't invasion fleets. They were just waiting. What do you want? He asked finally. We want you to keep Rule 1, Dr. Martinez said. An attack on one is an attack on all. You attacked Earth. You attacked humanity. According to our compact, that means you attacked everyone. And now you must face the consequences. unless you choose differently. Admiral Vexstar appeared on the communication screen from his flagship orbiting Earth. Your Majesty, I'm receiving a transmission from the human admiral commanding the fleet here. Put it through, the Emperor commanded. A new face appeared on the screen. A woman in a crisp military uniform. She had the same calm confidence as Dr. Martinez. I am Admiral Chun Martinez of the Terran Alliance Navy, she said. I am Dr. Sarah Martinez's daughter. You have 30 standard minutes to release all human prisoners and begin immediate withdrawal from human space. And if we refuse? The Emperor asked. Then you will learn why Rule 1 has never been broken in 3 centuries, Admiral Martinez replied. Every species that has tried to break our compact has discovered that friendship is indeed the greatest power in the galaxy. The Emperor looked around his throne chamber. Representatives from 847 species watched him. Many were species he had conquered. Many had signed treaties just like the one he wanted Dr. Martinez to sign. But now they saw something different. They saw that the mighty Zephyrian Empire was surrounded. They saw that a network of friendship was stronger than an empire of fear. How? The Emperor asked Dr. Martinez. How did you hide this from us for so long? We didn't hide anything, she replied. We operated in plain sight. We helped struggling colonies. We fought pirates. We provided disaster relief. We built schools and hospitals. We shared technology and knowledge. She smiled sadly. You saw all of this, Your Majesty. Your intelligence reports documented our activities. But you dismissed them as unimportant. You thought helping others was weakness. The alarm systems continued their urgent warnings. More reports arrived every minute. The surrounding fleets were not moving closer. They were not preparing to attack. They were simply waiting. This is your choice, Your Majesty, Dr. Martinez said. You can order your fleets to fight. But remember, you will be fighting teachers and doctors and farmers who learn to build warships. You will be fighting parents protecting their children. You will be fighting friends protecting friends. She looked up at the massive alien ruler. Or you can choose to learn a different way. You can choose to discover what happens when an empire tries to make friends instead of slaves. The Emperor sat in his crystal throne, surrounded by the greatest palace in the galaxy. But for the first time in his long life, he felt small. Outside, 2.8 million ships waited patiently for his answer. And across the galaxy, millions of beings held their breath. Emperor Zixthal sat motionless on his crystal throne for a full minute. The chamber remained silent, except for the soft beeping of communication devices and the distant hum of alarm systems. 2.8 million ships waited in space. 800 billion beings across the galaxy watched. Finally, the Emperor spoke. You claim to fight for freedom, he said to Dr. Martinez. But you threaten war if we do not obey your demands. How is this different from conquest? Dr. Martinez considered the question carefully. Your Majesty, conquest means taking something that belongs to others. We are asking you to return something that belongs to us, our people, our worlds, our freedom. And if we refuse, then you will face the same choice you have given every species in your empire. Submit or fight. The Emperor's chief military advisor approached the throne. Your Majesty, he whispered urgently, our fleet analysis is complete. Even if we mobilize every ship in the Empire, we would be outnumbered 3-1. And their ships, they're not what they appear to be. Explain, the Emperor ordered. The merchant vessels are actually modular warships. They can reconfigure in space to become battleships. The insect ships from the Kethany contain fighter swarms. The computer-controlled vessels can coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. Admiral Vexstar's voice came through the communication. System from orbit around Earth. Your Majesty, I must report something else. Our occupation forces on Earth have been politely asked to gather at designated areas. Asked? The humans simply walked up to our soldiers and said, "Please come with us." They weren't threatening. They weren't armed. But somehow, our forces are now surrounded. Dr. Martinez smiled. Governor Thexul was right to be suspicious. Humans are very good at planning. We spent a year learning your patrol patterns, your guard rotations, your weaknesses. The Emperor leaned forward. And now? Now your soldiers are safe and comfortable in areas we prepared for them. They have food, water, entertainment, and medical care. They are treated as guests, not prisoners. You could have killed them. Yes, Dr. Martinez agreed. But that would make us like you. We prefer to prove that strength can exist without cruelty. A new communication came through from Admiral Martinez. Mother, time is running short. The Emperor has 15 minutes to respond. The Emperor looked at his military advisor. What are our options? We can fight, Your Majesty. But we will lose. Our intelligence estimates suggest the conflict would last approximately 6 months and result in the complete destruction of our fleet. And if we surrender? Unknown, Your Majesty. No one has ever forced the Empire to surrender before. Emperor Zixthal studied Dr. Martinez. What are your terms? Simple, she replied. Immediate withdrawal from all human space. Return of all human prisoners. Recognition of human independence and the sovereignty of all compact member species. That would mean giving up 47 star systems. Systems that never belonged to you. In the first place. The Emperor was quiet for another long moment. Around the chamber, representatives from hundreds of species watched the most powerful being in the galaxy struggle with a decision no emperor had ever faced. And after we withdraw, he asked finally, That depends on you, Your Majesty. Explain. Dr. Martinez walked closer to the throne. Your empire has ruled through fear for 5,000 years. You have conquered 847 species. Many of them are represented in this chamber today. She looked around at the alien representatives in the galleries. But fear is not the only way to build a civilization. There is another way. You speak of friendship again. I speak of partnership, cooperation, building something together instead of taking things apart. The Emperor's scale shifted through several colors: red anger, orange confusion, and finally blue curiosity. You would negotiate with the Empire? We would negotiate with anyone willing to honor agreements and respect freedom. Even former enemies. A communication came in from across the Empire. Your Majesty, the fleets surrounding our worlds are broadcasting something. It's not a surrender demand. It's a trade proposal. Dr. Martinez nodded. While you decide our political future, Your Majesty, perhaps you should know about our economic future. The Compact controls resources from 40,000 worlds. Rare minerals. Advanced technology. Agricultural products. You offer trade? We offer choice. You can choose to be an empire that rules through fear and takes what it wants. Or you can choose to be a partner in the galaxy's first free trade alliance. The Emperor's intelligence advisor whispered urgently in his ear again. The Emperor's expression changed to surprise. My advisor tells me that 17 Imperial species have already contacted your fleet commanders about joining your compact. Freedom is attractive. Your Majesty, even to species inside your empire. Emperor Zixthal sat back in his throne. Around him, the greatest palace in the galaxy suddenly felt small and confining. If I agree to your terms, what guarantee do I have that you will not simply conquer the empire? The same guarantee we gave every species in our compact, Dr. Martinez replied. Rule 1 works both ways. An attack on one is an attack on all. If you join us, we will defend you against any threat. Join you? Your Majesty, you have built the most efficient administrative system in galactic history. You understand logistics, communication, and organization. These skills could serve peace as well as they served war. The communication system crackled again. Admiral Martinez's voice filled the chamber. Time is up. I need your answer, Your Majesty. Emperor Zixtel looked at Dr. Martinez one final time. You truly believe this alliance of yours can work? It has worked for 300 years, Your Majesty. Today, it includes representatives from 40,000 human worlds and 237 species. Tomorrow, it could include 40,847 worlds and 1,084 species, including the Zephyrian Empire, including anyone who chooses cooperation over conquest. The Emperor stood from his crystal throne. His massive form dominated the chamber, but somehow he no longer seemed threatening. Admiral Martinez, he said to the communication system, the Empire accepts your terms. We will begin immediate withdrawal from human space. Cheers erupted from sections of the gallery. Representatives from conquered species celebrated openly. Others sat in stunned silence. There is one more thing, the Emperor said. The Empire formally requests information about joining your Terran Mutual Defense Compact. Dr. Martinez smiled broadly for the first time since entering the chamber. The compact welcomes all species who respect Rule 1, Your Majesty. We will send a delegation to discuss membership requirements. And the compact's other rules? Rule 2. An agreement with one is an agreement with all. Rule 3. Trade benefits everyone. Rule 4. Knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. Rule 5. Today's enemies can become tomorrow's friends. The Emperor's scales shifted to gold, a color Dr. Martinez had never seen before. Later, she would learn it meant hope. Dr. Martinez, the Emperor said, would you be willing to serve as humanity's first ambassador to the Empire? It would be my honor, Your Majesty. As alarms fell silent across the galaxy, billions of beings began to imagine a different future. A future where strength came from friendship, where security came from cooperation, where the galaxy's greatest power was not fear, but hope. On Earth, in a small cafe in New York, an elderly man poured coffee for customers and smiled. His grandchildren would indeed have good lives. The garden humanity had planted 3 centuries ago was finally ready for harvest. And in the vast reaches of space, 2.8 million ships began the long journey home, carrying with them the message that Rule 1 had held once again. The age of conquest was ending. The age of cooperation had begun.